journeys, he's taken us right back as far as you'd like to go, whether at school or before, and how you really fell into the world of building surveying. I say fell because most people kind of fall into it rather than I want to be a building surveyor, but talk to us.
Yeah, to be fair, Dan, you've pretty much summarised how it happened. Believe it or not, I was very, very good at drawing things from an early age. So
Right.
from the off, I was considering the life of an architect. So that would have been the way I was going was architect. And to be fair, I just put things together. I'd get the Lego blocks, I'd put the building together, I'd draw it, and I was pretty good at it, to be fair. And I did that for a number of years when I was in primary school. When I went from primary school, obviously you go to secondary school. I'm in secondary school, and I'm contemplating what to do because I was sort of like I was very good in class, but when it comes to exams, I was just like I can't really be bothered to do this. So I sort of become a bit reluctant. I started dropping my marks ever so slightly, still passed them, but I was a bit like, what do I need to do here? And in essence, I did work experience for a place called Urban Design in Birmingham. And at the time, I wanted to do obviously architecture. There was no architecture slots available. So they went, oh, we've got this building surveying slot. So what's a building surveyor? They went, oh, you do this sort of thing and you do that. And they didn't really summarise what you had to really do. So I was like, looked at the old dear and went, well, what do I do? She went, go on, give it a go, see what it's about. So for 2 weeks worth of experience, I was effectively teamed up with a lad. His name escapes me. And they went, right, there's a disto. What's a disto? There's a disto. This is 2007. There's a disto. We want you to go into that room, scope the room out, draw it on like a CAD drawing, so design it, and then come up to us with a bit of a design. Okay, no problem. Went in, boom, 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 boom. I was back at the room in a couple of minutes. He went, it should take you all day to do that. Well, because of being involved in scouts, geography, and all that sort of stuff, I was constantly always used to sizes and measurements and all that sort of stuff in terms of going, well, we need to get to that location. This is a map. The whole idea of working out distances was relatively straightforward. And then so I did that, and then went into college and went, you know what, I fancy the life of a building surveyor, and that's where we went from that point in time. Very peculiar. Would I ever become an architect if I had those? No, I'd always been a bit of building surveyor. That's the reality.
Fair play. So yeah, it's funny is that most people's stories within construction is they were never destined to ever get there. You know, it's like I say it all the time, but my journey into construction was stacking bricks in a builder's merchant, and I never wanted. You know, I was like, how did this happen? And here we are, 20 odd years later, still in it. But
yeah, it's a bizarre one. It is bizarre.
So how old were you then? How old were you at this point when you got your first job within proper building surveying, and where was it?
So my very first job would have been in my second year of university. So what happened was there was a company called Wolverhampton Homes that overseen all the council properties within Wolverhampton. Yeah. And effectively, they said, oh, we want some building surveyors, project managers, construction managers. We want to do an interview. Well, I thought, well, you know what? For what it's worth, I've never really had a proper job. I've done bits on the side and done carpet fitting, done this, done that, worked on site. So in terms of an actual proper job, that would have been my first proper job. It was just a case of just ticking over until that point in time. So it would have been through Wolverhampton Homes as an apprentice building surveyor. The idea would have been a sandwich course. So it would have been, again, it made more sense than anything. First year, do uni. Second year, do the sandwich course. So I've got a year's worth of experience and finished the 2 years full time. It didn't quite work out that way though.
Didn't. No, never does. So you went on you. So back then was it? So the journey is very much similar to how it is today. Is it your APC journey?
No, so I never went down the APC route.
Okay.
Never did, because this is so we're going to get onto this, but I never ever could fit everything into one go. But you'll get onto this as the podcast goes on. That's the reality in that respect. I went down a different route entirely. Okay.
Sounds... So after that then, so you were working to, how old were you then? What, 18, 19 years old were you?
I would have been, at the time, 20. Would have been 20.
20 years old. And you were there in the depths of building surveying, enjoying it?
To be fair, it was an eye-opener, because it was a case of, I'd go out, design the areas, and then it was full refurbishments of the properties.
Right.
But where it become very how can I put it, in your face, was it was a live environment. There were people
Yeah.
living there, so
Yeah.
you had to work around those maybe sometimes troublesome residents in that respect, and you got a quite good rapport with them. And the green that was behind your ears quickly disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I'm just looking because you've got, and then obviously from there, then you spent. I guess trying to find your place. You obviously we're looking at different places to work, and I can see there like you're obviously from. Where are you from, by the way? You're from Birmingham, or you're from
Birmingham,
Wolverhampton?
West.
Right. Okay. So you're from there. So so then take us on to this journey because I'm interested in quite soon after. You were building surveying for maybe 4 or 5 years of doing different roles at different places before you then ended up dropping into the Royal Navy Reserve.
So interesting one. How that happened was in my first year of uni. I was on the phone to one of my best mates, and I was walking down Wolverhampton High Street. If you're familiar with it, you might not be. And there was a careers office for the military on the right side as I'm walking up. So I'm walking to university. I've got about 2 hours before I have to actually attend a lecture. And my mate rang me out the blue, who was at RAF. Can't remember off the top of my head. He was at one of his bases, and he rang me and said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm on my way to lectures." He went, "Oh, fair enough. Where are you?" Wolverhampton. Started explaining the story. He went, "I saw him walking past one of your military set up places." He went, "Oh yeah." I went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He went, "What, recruitment office?" I went, "Yeah." Now, I was a bit rebellious as a kid. He goes, "I bet you don't go in there and sign up today." I went, "I bet you I do." So I walked in and I said to him, "If there's RAF in there, I'll join the RAF. If there's Navy in there, I'll join the Navy. If the Army are in there, I'll join the Army." And a lot was with the Marines. Obviously, they're a branch to the Navy. So I walked in, there was a PO and a chief petty officer, so chief, and I said, "Hello there, I'd like to join the reserves." And that's how that happened.
Never. You just that was it. So you obviously got this, career path lined up for your building surveying that you were on, doing, you were enjoying it, you were on the right path, and then you thought, I'm going to throw myself in, and you just did it.
So I did it on the side in terms of the actual building
Yes.
surveying,
Yeah.
but as I'll explain, the balance was perfect between the two. There was proper synergy between the two.
Well,
But
this
yeah,
is what
that's
then this is what's really interesting about the next, this part of it, because before this, then, if you just take us back, we mentioned then about the APC, that's obviously the traditional route. You were still at university at this point then, so you were studying building surveying, I'm guessing, at university.
correct.
So when were you due to qualify, or when were you due to finish?
Uh, it would have been, I'm trying to work out when all my other colleagues qualified. 2013, I think it would have been. I
Right.
can't quite remember off the top of my head.
So at that point, so you're due to qualify. So you then now looked at it as an opportunity to just add something on. You obviously adding on the Navy wasn't going to be a full-time thing. It was just something to support and you help you grow as a person as well, I guess.
Absolutely correct, correct. So,
Um,
yeah, sorry, Dan. So I'd been in scouts my entire life, and as I went to uni, I had to bin that. So it was like, I'm missing something, and I've got a lot more to give. What can I do?
right.
And then it was a case of, it actually worked hand in hand. So it was a couple of weeks after I'd left and gone to uni. The question was asked. Well, maybe the question was asked. Jim had put a dare in, and I went, "No, I'll join," and that's how that come about.
Incredible. Because you didn't just do it for a bit, did you? You were there a long time, which then take I did look at the background. I'm like, wow, you really have kept this going up
Yeah,
until really, really recently, by the looks of
yeah.
things.
So I left in February this year. My branch that I was very passionate about had disbanded and become regular only. So they
Right.
wouldn't take reserves on. And then from that point, you'd have to go into different specialisms. So my branch was communications and an information specialist. So I was CIS. I was a CIS spec. As you probably gathered, communication was the key thing there, as well as handling sensitive information and alike. Um, Getting DITs come over and having to DITs being messages, hold them. What are they? Are they sensitive? Are they secret? Are they top secret? And then having to work out where they need to go. So it worked hand in hand with me. One, because I can keep a secret, and two, because I'm very good at communicating. So they worked in sync. I did that for a number of years. You asked me the question regarding. I'll give you an answer if you're curious about the reserves.
Yeah, so I see what I think I'm interested in is that being able to balance the two. You know, obviously, like building surveying, there's a lot that goes on. You know, you know that from the work that you do. There's a lot of responsibility. You know, even if it's got from getting to site to getting reports back. You know, there's a lot of pressure can load onto building surveyors. How did you balance the two and do that successfully over such a long period of time? And was the family involved as well? Like, and the only reason I'm asking is just to give an example here of what this looks and feels like.
In terms of the family being involved, it was. I kept it a little bit quiet to initially start with because people, with what had gone on in Iraq and Afghanistan, people were like, oh, you joined the reserves, you're going to go front line and this is going to happen. Although the branch is positively involved in theatres of war and all the frontline stuff, how I went about doing it was, oh, Mum, I'm at uni, no problem. I'm looking on doing this. What's your thoughts? So I sort of like dangled the carrot initially, and she was like, "You're your own man now. You do what you think's best." So for me, that was like fair game. Like, go on. So in terms of family being involved, they were fully aware of it, and I explained to them because I did a lot of research how I could make the balance work. In terms of the balance, from my perspective, there was four things. So the first one was understand the commitment.
Yeah.
As a reserve, you've got to do 26 days a year typically,
Okay.
and they form weekends, weeks, 2 weeks over a period of time. So as long as you understand that, you can inform your employer, or as long as they understand what's going on, where you need to be at a certain point in time. So certain pieces of work, well, hang on, I can't do that scheduled condition, or I can't deliver it by that point in time because that's my 2 week slot with the reserves. So as long as everyone's on board with that, you're okay. So understanding the commitment. The next thing is effective times management. So I was very good in terms of I had a calendar, and what I used to do was print down exactly where I'd be at what time, so I'd know if I was away that weekend or wherever that may be. Yeah, so effectively that. The other thing, of course, is when you are going into interviews with your employer, make sure they understand they're flexible. So it's a case of, I'll put in the extra for you if you allow me to do that, because ultimately, if you can't do that, then it won't work. You asked the question earlier on. Sorry, Dan. You asked the question earlier on about employers and over a period of time how I was with different employers. All of them, but one, which I won't go into because I don't like to name, were very flexible. They understood the commitment. They were fully on board, and that was effectively it. You go into the interview and say, "I am a reservist," and they ask you a couple of questions, and they really do get intrigued. And some of them, off the back of that, are interested in joining. And the final thing is communication. Communication is key.
Yeah, it
That's
absolutely is. To be honest, it's very much, what the examples you've given there are the basics of what you need in it. You know, some people really struggle to balance a lot of things, with more than one thing. I just think it's really commendable that you've served like that while trying to do building surveying, and you've obviously made it, a success and looking through the history of what you've done. Um, just in 2018, in this building surveying / Navy journey that you've gone on, you decided to then throw in a scout leader at the Scouts. So you obviously wanted to give a bit back towards the kids as well. So I'm like, so talk to me a little bit more about that. A lot going on here.
So I've got a lot going on altogether. Again, this was another dare. So between the age of 6 and 18, I was a scout. So I was a beaver, then a cub, then a scout, then an explorer scout that used to be called Venture Scouts. I left because ultimately, when you go to university, it's very hard to balance the two. It really is. In terms of they expect a hell of a lot of commitment, but you also need to. There's just too much going on to be going through network as a scout. So network as a scout is where you're getting at the time your Queen Scout Award. You'd be doing. You're probably talking 60 days of commitment, and it just would not have worked with full time university. Yes, they go part time, and that's what made the Navy work. But in terms of actual scouting, I went, it won't work. Going back to that, what happened was around the age of 24, 25, I was half interested in kayaking, got really good at it, got my stage 3, and then overnight become an instructor. Found out that my local scout group do a lot of kayaking in an area called Pikes Pool in Bromsgrove, and I was asked to join a kayaking club down there. Off the back of that, then they said, "Oh, Jordan, would you still be interested in doing scouts?" Well, because I was over the age of 25, you go straight into leader. So I was like, oh, I don't know. Oh, go on, do it. All right, you've bent my arm back, and then effectively, yeah, I've been so you've got assistant scout leaders, you've got scout leaders. So I've been the scout leader for my particular troop since 2018.
Yeah, you're still doing it now then? Still involved with that?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
passionate about scouting, mate.
yeah, and then I mean, looking at it, I mean, building surveying as a whole, then, because do you know what? This is really good. I'm very similar in what you've got going on. I juggle a lot of different things, but it's what allows me to keep focused. It's what allows me to feel like I'm giving back all the time. Even things like this, extracurriculum stuff, doing a podcast on the side, I don't get paid for any of this. I just enjoy it. I enjoy meeting new people and hearing people's stories, and then when you're
Mm.
trying to balance stuff, but it's really good to see. And I think sometimes people can say, "Oh, you've got too much going on." Where actually, you know your limits, you know your level of how much you can deal with before it gets too much. And looking at what you're actually giving back, I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
so with all like the building surveying side, then you've obviously still got a really, really soft spot for it because you eventually decided last year to set up your own consultancy. Um, so that must have been taken out of the fact that you felt like you had so many things juggling, and I guess that you'd had so much experience. I'm guessing that you were ready to kind of take the leap. Were you ever planning on that, or was that something that just came over time that you thought, "I'm now ready," or was it something long ago when you thought, "I'm going to set up my own thing"?
How can I put this without sounding like an absolute lunatic? In my head, I can do anything, absolutely anything.
I
And I
love
think
it. I love that. No, that is
yeah,
lunatic. I love it. I love it.
once you've got that mentality, you can quite literally do anything. So someone could say, do this, do this, do this, within reason, of course. And I'd go, yeah, I could do that. Give me a bit of training or teach me how to do it, and I'd understand the concept. For me, it was a case of when. Let me put it another way. When I tell people I have a consultancy, they go, "Well, we knew that would happen anyway." Like it wasn't. It wasn't. How can I put it? It wasn't unexpected because of the whole mentality of doing my own thing. I've always been good at literally just going, I can do that, understanding the concept and achieving that. So yeah, I'll be honest. After a while, I thought, you know what, I can do this. There's no reason why I can't. And effectively, I had 4 weeks of sitting down, understanding how that works. That was an absolute brain fog. And once I got that round my head, that was it. Then I set up my
Yeah,
own business.
yeah. Quite an entrepreneurial mindset, I think, from an early age, isn't it? You've obviously linked onto something or locked onto something, whether it be in building surveying. And you know what's interesting about journeys? You like even myself. If you look at my journey, it's never what I'd call job hopping. It's always learning a new skill and taking it onto a new place with me. And people would always look at CVs like, "Oh, you've dropped around 4 or 5 times." I'm like, "Yeah, but that's a positive. It's a massive positive for me." And do you know what? And I can see very similarities between. It's like you've never been destined to just be in one place for 50 years, serve and then leave. You're always like, it'll be quite exciting to see what the next part of your journey looks like because you've created this business. Um, and then, the next 10 years, I'm sure there'll be more dares along the way about what else could come along. So just on to this then. So you've parted ways with the Royal Navy Reserve now. That must be was that quite tough? But that was a big
It,
part of life, was that?
do you know, it really was because ultimately, in order to get Molloy & Co to start progressing to the next level, I had to make decisions, and I was sort of going, well, in my head, that's a big commitment, a very big commitment, and it's going to hurt me, but it's going to be one of those we'll have to step away from it. So I did, and have a look back at it. Yeah, I do see it in some respects as a bit of a tough decision, but in order to progress, you have to kill the dead wood, but you've just got to flourish. And for me, it wasn't holding me back, but it's allowed me to then go, right, let's take it to the next level. But let me explain to you. As soon as I got rid of it, I was going, what can I do now? I fancy joining search and rescue. And I had all these little thoughts in my head. I thought, no. Stick at what you're doing. Give it a couple more years and then think about it. So I am biting at the bit to do something else. What that is, but yeah. So I've managed to get the work-life balance perfect to a T. So where I've got free time now. So yeah. So that's the roundabout answer to that question.
Hey, look at this. Like, what about the podcast? I said, you need to come on and do some hosting. The floor's yours, mate. Like, this could be, this is honestly one of the best platforms ever for just meeting people. Like, honestly, it's incredible. The amount of people I've met just because we've got an online podcast is incredible. And, it was genuine when I put it out there that this here isn't a Dan Newton thing. It's an industry podcast, it's for the construction industry. And,
100%.
if you're sat there all night thinking, I'd love to interview them, you've got the floor, mate. And we know that you love to do extra bits. So on that then, so the scout stuff, you're going to keep the scout leader stuff going. You've got no plans of letting that go at the moment then?
No. I'll do that because, as I say, we've just recently come off a scout camp and the amount of skills that those kids have learned that they wouldn't necessarily just get from being in the area is phenomenal. And it's not a case of taking the kids off the street. These are kids that genuinely want to be there and take themselves to the next level. Just going back into the scouting, when I was at Tuffing Ferby Taylor, when I was at TFT, I was asked to do a survey. And as part of that survey, 100% of the people in the professional capacity as a building surveyor did scouting.
Right.
It's just weird how it all just comes about. But in terms of, no, I'd stick at it because the kids are genuine. They enjoy it. The parents really, really want them to progress. And for me, it's just seeing them at the end of it with what we achieve in scouting, the Scouts Only, Gold Chief Scout Award. So that's their big target and that allows them to progress to Explorers. Once they've achieved that, I know I've done my bit.
No, that's really good. Really, really good. It really is. It's nice speaking to you. There's so much more than just building surveying, There is. But just on that then, Molloy & Co., your new business, what is it? What type of business is it? What do you specialise in? And what's the plan for it, really?
Sorry. So initially, education was going to be the main sector. But overnight, I realised there ain't a fat difference between that sector, and that sector. So although it was a case of starting off in the first year in education, it's now got involved in various other sectors. I see myself doing replacement roof schemes for residential blocks through Section 20 monies. I see myself doing Section 106 schemes. It's just weird how it's all gone about because I'm not, how can I put it, restricted to one particular sector. I can then flourish and go into different ones. I've been asked to do appointments for the MOD. Like, there's my security clearance. Carry on with that. So it's bizarre. I can't say now that I focus on one sector because I think that would half be a bit silly. Yes, it's okay to specialise in one and be very good at it, but then you are restricting yourself.
Yeah, totally. And how many is within the team then?
Officially or officially?
Officially.
Officially, there is me and a project manager.
Yeah.
Unofficially, I've got a number of surveyors that I go to when we've got bigger appointments. If we've got a larger scheme of works or something a bit more trickier that needs a lot more involvement in it, then I'll reach out to like-minded individuals where they are the same setup as myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's good. No, it's good to know. So then the long-term plan with it. So obviously it's been going just over a year now. How have you found that transition from being employed to self-employed over the last year?
The amount of startup businesses that I've seen fail, when I say fail, go kaput in the first year is massive.
Yeah, it is.
For me, just to make profit in the first year is the target. We made profit. So as far as I'm concerned, it's moving in the right direction. Massive moving in the right direction. In terms of where I see it going, it's a pass where I thought it'd be at the minute. I thought it'd be like a baseline here. It's there at the moment, and it's taken that trajectory. I do need to employ the surveyors. I really, really do. But it's surveyors of the same mindset. So communication, able to solve real tricky problems, work with sometimes troublesome clients. I found that recently I've been involved in a lot of insurance works. Um, that is a different ball game altogether in terms of they're not lax on the health and safety, but it's always like a case of, oh, well, we can do this and we can do that slightly differently. And it's not quite how it works. So you have to change your mindset with how that goes. So it's having that person that can also be a case of that's the route we need to take. But in order to facilitate that motion, we've got to do this ever so slightly differently. It's still above board. We've just got to do things differently. So it's also being able to mould that individual. And it's proving
Yeah.
very difficult to find that individual.
It is. We've spoken on previous episodes about this, about, people coming through, grads that are coming through. And one thing that we seem to be struggling with, so even at our end, where we are at Charles Garth, it's not that we're not finding good people. We just seem to be finding people that seem to lack it seems to be the enthusiasm to want to get a problem fixed, and a lot of them are sat on their qualifications alone, and it's like, I've got a qualification in building surveying. Problem is, as well as me, when you've got a complex situation, you need somebody that's got it's kind of like the go-getting attitude to go, I'll go out there, I'll go find a solution and I'll bring it back. It's that part that's missing. And trying to find someone that's got the qualifications and it just seems to be really tricky. And I don't know if it's because it's a lack of confidence in, they finish university and they come out and they're like, I need to now sit around and wait to be told what to do. And half the time, we're not looking for that. We're looking for someone to tell us what to do to get us out of that situation. And I guess you're in the same position. It's,
The worst thing, sorry, Dan, the worst thing, in my opinion, that has ever happened is they've given students the opportunity to be at university for 3 years, do work experience during that time, and then at the end of it, become a chartered surveyor.
Yeah.
Like, what's all that about? Oh, we do our APC in sync with the university. You've got no experience. You've got limited experience, 1-2 day a week. How can you class yourself as a chartered surveyor? And then they go onto the job. They demand, I think I heard one the other day, 50k at 23 years old. And the problem is they're being paid that money. So then it becomes a case of, oh, we're expecting that. It's the wrong mentality altogether. I get really wound up about this. How can someone with that level of experience, they're not going to ever generate the PM fee or anything in that respect. They're not going to bring new clients in. So how can they be expecting 50 plus K in year one of proper work? It's absolutely scandalous. But until something's done, this is going to be the problem. I mean, you can't have a grad with virtually no experience, not chartered, and I've been told, oh, they're 37k. When I went into my first job with Derek Evans, I think I had 24k as my starting salary, fresh out of uni, but with 3 years worth of experience. Like I can't understand that. And we're not talking that was 20 years ago. We're talking that was just over 10 years ago. So how does that happen in 10 years? It's absolute madness.
Do you know what's interesting about it? It's if you look now, the opportunity to do other things that weren't around 10 years ago are all happening in front of us. So the world, to even get into building surveying now, people don't want it as much as, we've got a huge lack of people wanting to even come to the industry. But I don't think that's a lack of people not liking the construction industry. I just think it's because there's more options available than what there ever was before. And, you look at things like social media. You can open mate, I don't know if you saw my post the other day about the guy from TikTok that's got he got 350,000 followers on his TikTok account of rolling hot melt. He's rolling hot melt, right? And I can't remember how many views it was. It was like 51 million views. So now he's earning more money recording him on the roof than probably doing the roof. So what we've now created is this world where new opportunities have come along, and then you look at salaries. Why would anybody want to come work for building surveying for 24 grand a year, 25 grand a year, 3 years of experience, a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work, and that. Yet there's different career paths where opportunities rife. And I guess that's where we just find ourselves in. We have chats all the time about people not getting into the world of construction, and we're lacking it. And because I guess back then, in the 50s and 60s and 70s, what else did you do? So yeah, it's a massive challenge. We all feel it. We do, and I think if you can come out of university with just a little bit of enthusiasm and having a bit about you, I think you go ahead of the pack out of everybody
Oh,
because it just seems to be that.
100%. 100%. I mean, I'll give an example straight away. Again, I won't say names. Whilst at Barker's, I was doing a survey, bumped into some of the catering staff. One of the catering staff, her daughter, was at university doing building surveying. I said, "Oh, has she got any experience, work experience?" No, no, no. Took her CV, interviewed her. One of the best surveyors that I've come across at such a young age. She'll go on to be director in no time. Genuinely, 100%. That to me is the bread and butter of surveying. Works really hard, understands the game, and did a lot of research to understand the role. And she's one of the best surveyors that I've ever come across for her age. Absolutely, this is PC, so I can't swear. She goes straight over her male counterparts in terms of how good she really is.
Yeah. Well, just being enthusiastic, want to find solutions to
Wants it.
problems.
She really
Just
wants it. That's how good she is. You know what I mean? Whereas the other ones are like, "Oh, I'll pick up my salary and see you later." Where she'll do
yeah,
the extra.
yeah, it is. It is. It's a sad talking point, but it is the reality, unfortunately. And unfortunately, you're then left with a lot of people that find themselves out of work. They can't get a placement. They're like, "Well, where am I going to go?" And it's like it's up to you to step up your game. Treat it like your own. You need to find them with like an entrepreneurial mind, really, the ones that want to make stuff happen. But yeah, I got that whole kind of section there stemmed from what's the plan for the business, and it's like I want to grow it, but it's really tricky. You need more people like with your mindset, and unfortunately,
Yeah,
Jordan, they're in me. That's the thing.
they're
Um,
on.
I'm
They're
quite
in
u-
Liverpool.
yeah, in my position, I'm head of the business development part for Chartered Building Survey. I'm quite a different type of setup really. I have no building surveying experience or anything, but my role's completely different. I go find the work because the building surveyors can't be bothered. So I go to the networking events when them lot don't want to. But so just coming into like the part we talk about we really talk about advice getting into the world of construction or the world of building surveying and stuff. Would you have changed anything, your whole journey? Would you have changed anything? I think right at the beginning you want to be an architect, and funny enough, you ended up in this. Would you have, if you could go back, would you change anything?
I reckon, personally, I reckon I could have done this, Molloy and Co. 3 years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think if I had give myself a bit of a head wobble back then and said, "Listen, I've glanced into the future and this is what I've seen. Knock the boxes on the head, knock the rugby on the head, knock this on the head, and put yourself more dedicated to that, and you'll progress." So I think I could probably be 3 years in front of myself, but on the same breath, I wouldn't change those things. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah, it's a bit of it's a difficult question to ask. Would you change anything? Because at the end of the day,
Yeah,
you won't be doing what you're doing right now if things had been different. And you're obviously, things are good. You've got a lovely journey. You took the leap out, and you've got yourself up and running into a new business. And I think a lot of people that come into these businesses, they all end up eventually following that track that you've taken. So I just think it's quite nice to kind of speak to somebody that's taken that. But then just finally then, any advice for people getting into building surveying? What would that be? If you're a graduate now and you're in a placement or you're at uni, what advice would you give to them?
even though you've qualified as a building surveyor, it don't mean nothing. You need to understand the role. What is the role of a building surveyor? Because I'm telling you now, if you think you're just going to go in and do measurement surveys all day, you're very mistaken. If you think you're going in there and do condition surveys all day, you're very mistaken. You have to be a roundabout person. I'm not going to say why building surveyor is better than better than a QS or an architect or anything like that. But what a building surveyor does compared to the others is you have to have a bit of those roles as well. But people, when they graduate, don't necessarily understand that. They think, oh, well, I'll just do this. No, you need to do contract administration. Yes, it's predominantly the role of a quantity surveyor, but you need to think about that. An architect, oh, well, I don't really need to do CAD. You do, especially when you finish your measurement surveys. And so there's all these things to factor in. So understand the role. Once you fully understand the role, then you'll flourish. If you decide then actually, I understand all the roles and I want to specialise, I want to be a party wall specialist, a dilapidation specialist, a project manager, fine, because you understand the other roles and can facilitate them effectively. So I think that's the first thing for me. Develop key skills off the back of that. Those would be the key things for me. So it's understanding the role and developing the key skills as a building surveyor. As soon as you've done that, you'll flourish. No problems.
Yeah. No, that's spot on, is that, mate? I think that it's always good to, like I say, get people on that are in the journey and doing what you've done. You've got such a great amount of experience there that shows that, you know, it's a great career, isn't it? It is a great career to be involved with. And the amount of people that you meet along the way, the stuff that you learn, you'll never have 2 days probably the same. Every day is different. And
no, I don't.
There you
No, I
go.
don't.
You know, and it's exciting. It is exciting, and I just feel like, you know, you can create your own destiny to whatever you
Yeah,
want to do. And most people I've
absolutely.
met within building surveying have all got their own little companies. They've all set up on their own, and it's great to see. It really is. But
Absolutely.
look, mate, we could. To be honest, we haven't even dipped into into the half of your Navy stuff. But you know, I don't want to keep you all day. I'm sure we can do more episodes and things on this. But look, I really appreciate you coming on for this these 40 minutes, mate, and just giving us a very, very small snippet into your journey. To be fair,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate you taking up the offer to have me on board. I just think it's interesting when people. It's one of those where people always go, "Oh, he's okay," or "He's not doing this," or whatever, and they actually see, "No, he's taking this very serious. He's a competitor." Then they go, "Oh, okay." So I think it's going to open up a couple of eyes, to be honest with you.
yeah, 100%.